talk about
Hey,
it.
Prince.
But Nancy, tell us a little bit about Prince here. I'm about to spotlight him.
Prince,
whatever you know about him.
Prince is my special buddy. He and his friend Bowie, who came the same year, but when David Bowie died, that was a terrible year. Prince is he's just so sweet. He's not there's 11 goats in this. At this sanctuary, there's 155 goats, more or less, probably more now. But in the yard that I work in, there are 11 wonderful goats, and except for 2 who were feral goats that were rescued from a barn where they lived for years, these were all bottle-fed babies. So they are affectionate, they're funny, and Prince is kind of low on the pecking order. So but he's so affectionate. He just is a very placid, stolid guy, and he comes and he leans against me. And yes, Sandra asked about his horns, and yes, there's a misleadingly delicate word for what happened to him, which is called disbudding. And what that means is, it's, in my opinion, a horrible practice. A lot of people who raise goats do it because the horns, I can show you some other pictures of the other goats with horns, but the horns can be problematic because they can get caught in fences, and the goats do a lot of play, but and sometimes it's aggressive. But still, when goats are just brand newly born, like they recommend doing it in 3 to 10 days after birth, they burn the place where the horns are just
horrendous.
And
it's
sounds
painful,
like circumcision,
right? It's painful. So that's why Prince doesn't have any horns.
They cauterize them.
First, use face recognition to unlock the device.
Some goats are born without horns, and it's sort of like a genetic, when there's like genes in the line that goats don't have. I call them people. Goats don't have horns. They can have babies that don't have horns. It's a little rare, but other than that, all goats would have horns. So, yeah, but Prince is just a lover. He comes and leans against me, and he's just a sweetheart.
Do you know why some of the ears falling like he does and some of the ears out? Is it like different breeds, or
why their ears are different? Yes.
Okay.
I don't know his breed, but yes, that is why. Other goats, their ears are very perky.
They stick out, right?
Yeah, he's got very long ears. And a lot of the goats at Goats of Anarchy, I should stop talking, Leah, so you can start teaching.
No, this is fascinating, please.
But a lot of the goats at Goats of Anarchy have all kinds of ears because a lot of them are lost to frostbite. And a lot of the goats that show up at Goats of Anarchy, Leah said, I think before you came on, Sandra, that Goats of Anarchy specializes in taking care of disabled goats. Right. And so many of them have lost hooves to frostbite, and others are born with deformities. And so a lot of the goats, I can show you pictures later if you want, but
I went to their website.
Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. We're it's a new obsession, Nancy. I told you.
Sorry, there's more than 11, right?
Yeah, there's 11 in this pen, but there's 155 more or less. And I met some new ones, so they're always coming in. But Leah has kind of closed off adoptions right now, so I don't know if we're going to get more. Anyway, I'll stop because I could literally talk for the whole 2 hours about the goat.
Well, we're going to ask you more questions, Nancy.
Good.
So I do sort of, as we're going along, we will ask you questions about the goats because we're interested in them. And when Nancy introduced this, as we were, we've been working with non-furry animals. And I thought that goats would be a good transition to furry animals because the fur is short and there's lots of hard lines, right? So it's a little bit less challenging. I also really liked Prince. He in color, I don't know if you see it. I sent you over the color version earlier in the thread, kind of hard to see here, but you can see it in the WhatsApp thread. You can see he's kind of browny colored. But to turn this into a black and white, he's got, look at all this great contrast, right? Really strong areas between black and white. So he's a good drawing subject. Also, we're going to be dealing with a couple of things this morning, including foreshortening. Anybody know what that is? What's foreshortening?
Yes.
Go ahead, Sandra, you know.
Oh, it's
How do you explain it?
it's the deformation of a vision because of perspective. So like in this case, his face looks really big and his feet look really small because the face is in front. And this is something that happens particularly in photography with wide angles.
Well, it happens when you're translating 3 dimensions to 2, right? It happens when you're translating a 3-dimensional subject to a flat surface. So the first question I'm going to ask you guys is, how, if I were to measure his head and then compare it to the length of his body or the height of his body underneath the head, how many heads, like how big is that in comparison? I want you to use your technique. Remember, use the technique of, I mean, if you have it printed out, you can totally do it that way. But here, if you did this, here, hold on, I'm trying to add my.
It's just 2 heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
basically a head, right? It's basically one head. So if we establish the size of the head, we can then just double it. There's a little bit of hoof that comes down here. And then is he wide? If I were to take this head and put it lengthwise, what about the width of his body? Is it as big as the head, smaller than the head? Take a look.
Sorry, which dimension are you trying to assess?
Head versus.
I'm using, so I'm going to establish, when we start to draw, we're going to establish the head randomly. And then just whatever size we want to make it.
Okay.
And then we're going to use it to determine everything else. Right? So is his head, if I were to take his head and kind of flip it on its side, is it wider than the width of his body or less wide?
It's the same as the rest of his body.
If you line it up next to the ear,
Is less, a little bit less.
It's a little bit less. Yeah, so actually, if we establish the head, we can use that to help us create our envelope. Pretty slick, huh?
But the head at the widest part is approximately the same width as the edge of the ear to his butt.
You mean from here to here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that too, right? Like you, so what you're talking about, Bettina, is a kind of more nuanced check, right? You'll do that as you're starting to sketch. You're going to keep going back and checking as you establish things. But in terms of vertical distance, right, we haven't yet established the horizontal distance versus the vertical distance of the head. So it's true, but we could get that wrong if we guessed it. But we know that if I come right here, hold on, and I, does anybody here need to have the talk about charcoal? Shall I give the talk about charcoal? We all know about charcoal. All right, so the whole idea is that you're not going to be using compressed charcoal, which is hard, or a charcoal pencil, which is hard to erase. Just to demonstrate really quickly here. Here's my charcoal. I always have some around. This is compressed charcoal. You can see it's heavy and dark, and I can't really erase the lines. This is vine. It's very soft and light. The one on my left is the vine charcoal. It's made from burnt wood, and you can see that's easier to erase. So in this exercise, we're going to start, as usual, by toning our paper a little bit darker with the side of a soft charcoal. Not a pencil. This pencil's not going to help you here right now. And then I'll show you about the measuring. So if you're not using charcoal, if you're using a pencil and paper, you're just going to watch this part, and you're going to do in pencil what I'm doing with what those of us working in charcoal are doing with the kneaded eraser, which once you get it out and work with it for a while, looks like this. Here's the new kneaded eraser, and here's like the kneaded eraser after.
It never looked like this again.
It's just a mess. I like to call this kind of a baptism because somebody always winds up with it right in the middle of their forehead, just like Ash Wednesday. At some point, somebody will wipe their head off and like, you get it. Yes, charcoal is messy. All right, so for those of you using pencil, you're going to do what I'm doing with the eraser and pencil. For those of you who are, so as we're doing our initial measurements, I am just marking how big I want my head to be. You'll observe, I'll make it a little bit bigger just to sort of make this one. This is not the same size. I'm not doing a one-to-one transfer. I'm deciding on my own how big this head is going to be. And I'm marking it. So here's my head from top to the bottom. After this, everything I do is based on, yeah, I'll have room. Everything I do is based on this measurement because I've established this measurement. And Bettina, just to be clear, we still have to establish this width versus this, right? So this width is not yet settled, but this width is a reliable measurement because we've established it as the measurement. Now, what did you say? It was one head down? It was one head down to get the bottom of the goat. All right. So I'm going to mark that here. I'll also mark this on the handout in just a second. All right. And then if in terms of the width, if I come here and I put it next to the ear, it looks like it comes about this much. So if I take my width, oh gosh, I see. We need to decide where the, here, let's do it like this. Yep, exactly the same. So if I, that's a really good point. So from here, because Bettina, as I just pointed out to you, I can't measure from here yet because I don't have that measurement yet, but I can do this reliably. Here, let me mark this down. So, right, we've decided this and this, which has given us this, right, that distance. Now we're going to use that, we're going to measure from here exactly one head wide. So now I can come here and mark off this. And I basically have my envelope. A little bit on this side, right? Can you see that? I have the kind of width comes out as far as here, just using that measurement. It's different than using the measurements that are going to follow because we'll have to check those against this first. But these we know are solid. The goat comes down only a little bit farther. And here now I will sketch it so you can see it. So good. You are so good, little buddy. I'm just going to kind of box him in a little bit. Let's see, let's go like this. So that's the kind of outer measurement. So we already know where this edge is, right? We can see that this edge comes out if I wanted to, I could find the halfway point here. Yep, and use that and look at that. From this center line, that comes out to here, a little bit wider than his ear. So if I find the halfway point here, so I'm kind of finding the parameters using that vertical line. That vertical line is like so helpful. Now notice this line comes here. This line lines up with the middle of the ear. The ear actually comes down a little bit lower.
So Leah, it's Marcy as usual.
Yes.
So the things we've established are the height of the head is equal to the height from that point down to the.
So the whole body, basically, the bottom of the body is here. Yep.
Well, I thought it was the
whole
his
body.
left front foot.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, there's almost the whole body. Let's put it this way, down to here, right? Yep,
Okay.
we've determined that. And
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that far.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then here, we've also determined that from the chin to the outside edge of the goat is the full width. It's like one full head as well. We've determined that on this side, right, the goat goes about half a vertical length. So now I'm in a much better position. I'm going to try and to sketch my outer shape. Comes down a little bit lower to about here, right? My envelope comes down here, and then it kind of bends down like that. There's a, it's at an angle. And then let's see here. I'll start over from the top here. There. Straight across. Down, but not all the way down to about here. And then angled in, right? So that should pretty much be the shape, the outer shape of your goat. There's our goat envelope. Is that helpful, you guys? Does
Hey,
that make sense?
Yes.
Hi, Diana.
sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's just fine. I'm just making a pretend annoyed noise. I'm not annoyed at all. I think it's awesome. I assume you were running around with the menagerie.
Yeah, and I totally forgot about time. I thought, oh, I felt like it was Sunday. Oh, it's not until 9. So that, oh shit, it's Saturday.
I forget what time it is. This is an interesting measurement. I didn't really check it too well. I can actually see that maybe, no, that's about right. I can see that this width is a little bit more. It's about 3/4 of the height. If anybody's struggling to figure this one out. So here's where this tends to go wrong is when we try to use a measurement we haven't established to measure something else, right? That's where this technique often goes wrong. You're like, well, I've done this, and so the width, but until I check the width against the height, everything has to be checked against this initial measurement first before we can use it as a measurement for something else. It feels so backwards sometimes drawing. I'm always so amazed. Oh wait, here, I'm gonna send this to you guys too, so you can always see it. And go ahead and send in your frame, your envelope when you think you've got it. In the meantime, he's a doll. He's a doll, Nancy. He's a doll. We love him too already. Prince has fans. Many fans. I just love the idea of a vegan goat sanctuary.
Vegan?
Yes, they're vegan. They take care of goats that have been abused or neglected or something.
Yeah.
Or they're disabled. Nancy's gonna regale us with more stories as we get into this, but I want her to be able to concentrate on the initial, all of you. I want you to.
I'm so far behind, so I.
Yeah, don't worry, you're not far behind. I just went fast, and now I'm waiting for you guys to catch up. I have to go fast, right? So you can take your time. Don't worry about that.
Hurry up and wait.
Yes, hurry up and wait. That is something that I don't think I got very naturally, but I have learned over time is how to kind of pace it a little bit so that people don't feel stressed out by their lessons. I just have people all the time say they were stressed out by their lessons. I'm like, why? Oh, okay, I get it. What can I do?
Slow down.
You can then like do things like check kind of, oh, let's see here. I can use this measure. I could like check this measurement, the width against these two, right? So this is like, that's about right. Like the width from the widest place to here should be about 3/4 of the way up the goat. Right, so you can start to use those verticals, but just remember just remember that like, I think the beginning of my understanding of this is when a teacher told me, check everything against 3 points. If like things check, that lets you know you're in the right direction. And also I will send you through the thread the other students' efforts of the other goats. Maybe you can also tell us about them. How often are you out there, Nancy?
Once a week, well, once or twice a week.
That's awesome.
So I spend every Friday out there, and it's not glamorous, you know. The price you pay for getting to play with the goats is cleaning their stalls, so it's worth it. But
hey, somebody needs to shovel the shit. That is
That's
absolutely
right.
the truth.
that's right. And I have to tell you, almost all of the volunteers are women my age. Surprise, surprise.
Well,
Do you have a garden?
right, right.
Do you have a garden?
Oh, trust me, they have a major contract with somebody to take, there's so much
All the
weight.
goat shit away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because goat shit is the best fertilizer.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. and
Yeah,
it's
maybe
all-
you should sneak a couple bags home with you the next time, Nancy. You go.
Oh, it's so
Put it on your front
stinky.
bed.
It's so stinky. I don't want it.
It stops stinking after a little while. I used to pick up goat shit from a neighbor, but they don't have goats anymore.
No,
What
that's
about
good.
the flies?
Flies, Diana?
I love it. I live in a fly zone. All my neighbors have horses.
Oh, that's true. Well, that's why, yes, that's why I
You know,
about them.
But
This
you
is
know,
why animal section is the best part of our year. Definitely.
I don't
it's-
think we have particularly. No, I don't think it attracts.
it's particularly bad.
No, I don't.
For those of you who, although I want to see your measurements before you send your measurements to me before you get it across. I see somebody just has here. Hold on. I know this is a lot of front end work. Let's see. 1, 2. Bettina. Here. Yep. Looks pretty good. Bettina, very precise.
Oh.
I like it. Yep. That's kind of here. And actually, I'll re-sketch out this. So I
have a problem with the width of the head.
we haven't got to the width of the head yet.
Okay.
So
but
you
how,
don't work.
how
So
can
don't
I?
use, you come to here. You use the bottom of the chin right here.
Okay.
Because
but,
it's clear. It's
how
most of us
can I
faces
do
on
the
the left.
box?
Oh, the
yeah.
width of the head right up here.
Yeah.
So how would we, well, I'm gonna, it's not that I'm not gonna answer that question, but I'm gonna throw that back at you. How would you, what's your first instinct? What would you do, Francesca?
I use my pencil to compare
That's
with
the-
the
Yes,
yeah.
the width.
But then shall I is is it the nose in the middle? So shall I?
He's not in the middle.
The nose is now, number one, you're asking questions that you can answer yourself, right?
Okay.
So number one, you have your tools. You can check this, right? Like you can check this. Stop thinking about the things that we're not sketching yet, but you can find the halfway point.
Okay.
You can find the halfway point, right? So measure this. So here's my initial. So every question, what I love about this is every question you've asked is a question you have the capacity to solve. And that is, I'm finding my halfway point here, and I might even split this half in half to get the quarter points. Because I know that the quarter points are always useful. Right? And then I can check this measurement against the vertical distance.
Okay.
Right? I can find out where the nose is. I could do all of those things by, let's see. Nancy, let's see here.
I tried to do it without doing any measurements, but just my fingers. So I'm not confident.
You're measuring with you're measuring visually. You're just
Right.
measuring that is a measurement. Just because you don't have a ruler or a number attached to it doesn't mean that is measuring. So let's see how you're measuring.
I already see one problem. My left angle is not sharp enough.
Yep, I see so too. I see that too. So one of the things that you can do, Nancy, if you want to, is, let's see how to resolve that. So I can find the second halfway point down here, right, for this bottom part, and look at that. This comes right as high as, this point comes up to nearly the halfway point. So if I were to, so here's like head, here's the head, right? And then here's the body. I can find the halfway point here. And what I want is for my straight line here to stop just below the halfway point, but looking good. And it also helps. So that's true measuring, right? You're comparing, it's just visual spatial measuring. And we're not used to visually spatially. The reason it feels weird is that things are not taking up the space you think they should. Bettina, by the way, once your measurements have been approved, you can go ahead and start sketching in these. I'll just do a tiny bit so you guys can see, right? You can start adding in your negative spaces. Trying to sketch this outside shape, right, of the goat. I always find that these two legs in the front, it's so you can start that. Any of those of you who have got it can start these outside shapes. And let me look and see who I haven't checked yet. I think Osiris, you were next. Okay, sweetie, we'll see you later. Julia, I'm checking yours too. Good. Good measuring, you guys. One. I wonder. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2. Looks pretty good. You know, Julia, that looks pretty good to me. So go ahead and go for it. You might adjust it a little bit. And it's okay to be going slower at this. It's okay that not everybody is at the same place, okay? I want to make that really clear. The idea of this is we're going to go. We're using a weird kind of tool, right? That's part of it. It's hard to be sort of unsloppy. Also, goats have the funniest shaped bodies, don't they? They're so funny. I'm actually adding back in some tone because I want to make sure my lines don't look too thick. Let's see from here.
What do you mean? Oh, you put that on so nice. What's because I'm using this thing? You want it? That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, it looks kind of, and this even looks hard enough to see that I'm gonna, if you want to, totally you can use this side to sketch. This lines in so that they don't get, there's a kind of danger of them getting too big. Observe a couple things. Observe how skinny this back leg is. Observe that this front leg, which is closer to us, is fatter than the leg next to it. It's not only taller, it's also fatter than the leg next to it. I am sure if I do kind of bendy lines, you can see already, it's obvious that my curve lines are too wide. It's just so what happens. So you can get them in, but be aware you're probably going to have to adjust them. So it should look a little bit like this, and actually out further. Yep. That's a little bit better. Also, it feels weird not to complete this line, but we will. Don't worry, my chickens, we will. Look already though how, and it looks weird. So this should be looking a little weird to you. And just to show you, I'm going to sketch the box in too, so you can kind of see. So here's the head. Oh, I fucked that up. I think actually I probably need to bring everything a little bit over. I had to bring my box over. I didn't quite have those measurements right. You're going to spend a lot of time fiddling with the shape of this head, as I am.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm doing the head only, and I put the nose in the middle, of course, where it is not at all. Right. It's really 3/4.
It's just the point is not that we won't make the mistakes we always make, right? It's just that we know we'll make them. Well, so we know to check them before we solidify.
The mistakes I always make with goats is I put the eyes like look. They're often not on the same level, but I mess that up further. But in this case, they are on the same level, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, it's hard to know. Really, what's really happening is a foreshortening. There's lots of foreshortening happening, meaning that within the face, let's see if I can sketch this. Within the face, right? This part of the face is kind of the front. Everything else is the sides of the face. So that's part of it. It's like everything that's coming back. The nose is going to be bigger and up a little bit more than you think it should be. Let's see. Marcy, what's this gridding stuff? Did you grid your goat?
No.
I see a grid here.
She's
I
joking.
don't know where that came from. I was just doing it freeform, babe.
Okay. Right, got it.
No, I started to
Francesca,
hyperventilate without grids, so I had to,
that's okay, that's
Or the-
okay. I can't really see your lines though. Can you sketch them? Can you like push in or maybe use your charcoal, the side of your charcoal so I can see it a little bit better?
yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Things look kind of, it looks a little bit thick right now, but maybe I just can't see it. That's all.
Yep, okay.
Oh, I made a mistake.
No. I love that. No. If you're using a grid, Marcy, be careful not to do too much of this. This can be confusing in relation to your grid. You
Yeah.
transposing, they're two different systems, right? This is the visual measurements where you're
Yeah.
using one to check the other. And the grid kind of circumvents that a little bit. So anyway, just don't try to do both.
Yeah, do one or the other. Okay.
Yeah, do one or the other. They don't sort of apply across the board. So while you guys are working, I'm going to send you yesterday's results. They were great from class. Let's see, where's Friday? Here's Sandra's in watercolor. Super cute. We used a different goat, so I can send you the picture over in a second.
Oh, man.
I know, so cute, right? Here's Emma Thomason's in Berlin.
Oh,
I know. Who's this guy?
I don't know the name of this one. He's in something called the grad yard, which is people who have either been babies or have graduated from an initial injury into a
That's Ani Jaworska Guidetti in Poland. Isn't that neat?
yeah.
It's such
then-
cool subjects. Thank you.
I know, they really
Thank you,
are.
Nancy.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's my
Yeah, they
pleasure.
do really appreciate it. And then here, let's see, Wednesday, Rollo. Oh, you'll love this one. This
Oh, I
came in the
love that one.
Wednesday class, Rollo in.
I want to do that. As well.
Oh,
I'm gonna do that tomorrow, Sandra. We're gonna do that one
Oh,
tomorrow.
but I'm working.
Oh,
that's
shoot.
that's Zeke.
Zeke. So that's
gonna have to
Rollo
pay-
Ross in LA who did the Wednesday. We're gonna do this one tomorrow in my class too, because there's only one person doing it in class, so.
But
like
I'm
it.
working probably on the French elections, actually.
Oh my God, did you vote yet?
No, I didn't make a bunch of. I was hoping to, but you know me. So I have to go vote after this.
Right.
But actually, it's just as well because apparently the last round, I heard one of the embassy's employees saying that in the morning it was intense, the number of people. So don't.
So it's a
fancy.
high turnout. Yeah, that is
Yes.
the thing about screwed up times, or sorry, interesting times, as they say. They do end up getting people to turn out to elections. I just love him. It's really fun. So that's what we've done so far. Anyway,
Those
I'm
are
ex-
amazing.
aren't they neat? Aren't they neat?
Oh, it's so
Totally
fun to
wonderful.
see them. And they
Right,
all
right.
look like the goats that I know.
Right? They look like that's the idea. And look at how different they are though, which I think is really nice too.
Yeah.
And by the way, so you're gonna start with the black lines. Once you guys have gotten those, of course, I'm gonna have you fill in the inner lines. So here, right, are those inner lines. Look at all this. I mean, I think this is it. Like, look at all these kind of fantastic shapes associated with the goats. And notice I'm also down here sketching the light and dark markings. See, Nancy, see why this is so great? Look at this. There's so much for us to grab onto here. So many, like this shape compared to these shapes. This is why this is such a great, like these markings are fantastic. Because, yeah, they're pretty great. We love our goats. We do love our animals. And we especially, oh, wait, that's Sorry, that's grass. No, is that grass? Hold on. I scribbled through it. Oh, yeah, that's grass. So actually, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, I kind of screwed up these lines on the side, so I'm going to try and redraw them in orange. So ignore the, yep, up like that. I'll ignore the other lines. There's your inner lines for those. So this needs to come up a little higher. So I had scribbled on it so much that I sort of lost the. And you can see as I'm doing this, I'm kind of adjusting. My shapes.
This is very
Very.
enjoyable.
I know, they just make you so happy, don't they? Almost as great as cats.
Different.
Different.
I love goats. I love goats.
Yeah, their structure is super, super interesting.
The eyes, the horns, and those ears. I love those ears.
Love letter to this lesson. I'm going to label this lesson love letter to the goat. And the thread. There we go. You can see I had to correct these a little bit because I kind of missed because I was overzealous in my scribbling and I messed this up. So this is kind of the general shape. And it should look kind of weird to you, right? This should look a little weird. I'm going to take a picture of the front of the legs just so you really ignore all the red lines. This is how this is supposed to look. Diana, go ahead and send across anything you're looking at, by the way. When you're
Are you
looking
doing
at
a goat, Diana?
No,
No, she's working on
You're doing your wedding?
She's
Yeah.
working on her wedding.
What's that? What's that
She's just
about?
working on her wedding photo from 20 years ago. You want to see young Diana?
You can,
Send it over, Diana. Send it over.
all right. All right. It looks very weird right now, but
Humans are so much harder.
I'll take a picture. Well, we'll see how it goes. There's many features that have to be adjusted. Not many, but a couple.
All right.
Did you send it, Diana?
No, I'm doing it
Oh.
right now. Let's see. I have to be in the right thread first.
Right. There are many. I sent this over just so you guys
No,
can
I
see the
sent
latest
it over.
sketch.
Oh, wow. It's taking shape. Definitely.
Yeah, but it's many
Oh.
adjustments left.
Oh, that looks great, Diana. It's coming along. Oh, Nancy, yeah, that looks really good.
Having trouble with
Nancy,
the legs.
bring this. So here's where the focus is. These feet have to kind of come close to this line, each one, right? So this foot is bigger and it touches the corner, comes out. So really what you want to think about is the negative space that's between them. That's the tricky part. Right? You want to think about this space. And this is how much empty space you want in between the two legs. And you want the feet to be touching the envelope. So here's foot one. This foot is really, this foot and leg are about twice the size of this foot. Thank you, perspective. So these shapes will help you as much as anything else. I found, Nancy, when I was trying to sketch these legs out, I made them too far apart. So I had to focus on this shape first before I could begin to sketch out these.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, bring your back leg kind of right up against that, right up against that line on the back too. They're weird little, I mean, imagine the bone, the skeletal structure of a goat. It's like,
You know, they have they're very bony, aren't they? Very bony.
they are very bony.
Ooh, fierce.
Kelly, I'm going to send you mine.
Let's see. Yeah, yeah, Diana, you guys are starting to come out. All right, let's see. I'm going to check a couple of things. 1, 2.
Yeah, there, his hairline is too high.
That looks perfect, Sandra. I would, the only thing I want to, yeah, a touch bit, but not too much. Sandra, look at how, the only thing I'll say, no, that looks pretty good, actually. I think his ear, skinny up the ear a little bit here. But everything else looks good.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'm just looking at the, yeah, that looks great. That looks great.
I had to
You
completely
got
move
it.
a face to the right, but now it
You
works
might
a
want
bit.
to double check this width between the eyes to the vertical
Okay.
distance, just to make sure. They should be a little bit above the halfway point. So let's see here.
Mm.
Yeah, a little bit above, but I think they are. They're kind of lined up with the quarter point, right? So if you find the quarter point here,
I think they're
lined up there.
correct. They're
They
correct.
might be a touch wide, is my thought.
I think what I did, as usual, is made the eyes too big. So the outer width is correct. The inner width is a bit.
Okay. Francesca looks great. Looks great. So cute. Good measurements, Francesca. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, this is a little bit. So this, believe it or not, and I know it's hard to see here, this line comes down below here. So you want to bring this line, your line is up here. You want to bring it down here. Other than that, but that was really hard to see and I missed it too, so. And then this line will kind of line up with your center, wherever that is. Good job. Really good job. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I just sent you mine. I'm having a little trouble getting the positioning of the nose and the mouth and the chin. Maybe
Right. Your grid is not so the nose is too small, way too small.
Yeah, just started
Yep.
it.
Yeah. So I would say the nose, the very top of the nose, if you look here, the very top of the nose is halfway up the face.
Halfway up.
So if you divide your face
Oh, so
in
put it
half,
higher.
right? Well, you don't put it higher, but look at the shape.
Okay, yeah, I just kind of,
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
if you're doing the bottom of the nose, that's at
Yeah.
about the quarter point.
okay,
And the
yeah,
top of the nose is about the halfway point. Right? So start with that shape. His nose just takes up so much space.
okay.
That's good. Yeah, good. Looking good. I mean, it's so like, it's such a sort of, looks so weird at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Now there's no, not yours, everybody's.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now I'm going to sketch in some of the inner shapes and see if I can make a little sense of this.
Nancy, I have a
Yeah.
question. What are goats' favorite snacks? I mean, I know they're herbivores, but what do they like?
Oh, here's the funny thing. I don't, they have kibble kind of stuff. I don't know what it's made out of, but they go crazy for it. I can't feed these goats because if I'm in the yard with them, they'll get too aggressive with each other. So I don't have a lot of experience with the snacks, but they're pretty happy. They eat everything. I've seen animal crackers in there, which I might be for the dogs, but oh, they have beautiful.
Yeah, I saw they have
Did you
many
see-
other animals.
Yeah, there's great white Pyrenees that are guard dogs. They're actually working guard dogs.
There's
that
a
live
list of
outside with
how
the
many
goats.
animals they have.
Oh, yeah,
it's
exactly.
massive. I was wondering, like horses love apples and carrots.
Yeah, the goats
I
don't
bet
get
you they'll eat.
too
I bet
many
you they
treats.
like. I remember we fed our goats on the farm corn.
Oh, you had goats.
You
Leo.
Well, we
had
didn't have
goats,
goats on the farm, but
lucky person.
what?
You lucky
Not me
person.
personally, but my friends who had goats, they were fed kind of corn. It was kind of a special mix of grains that they really seemed to dig.
So the goats, I'm surprised. It shocks me that these goats can be so big when all they eat is hay.
Right.
But think of horses.
It's crazy.
And
I just
When they were
grass,
very lean.
right, and grass. Okay, so now I'm coming back here. I'm going to remember what I just told Marcy and find my middle point. So I know that my middle point here and then my quarter point. So my nose kind of starts and ends at the middle and then the quarter points in this outer shape. And then it comes almost all the way to the end here. There we go. The nose is huge. That's because the nose is coming like right towards you.
That's part of a foreshortening, isn't it?
That's part of the foreshortening. You've got to adjust yourself to. God, he's hilarious. Look at his little, I like the way his little mouth quirks up.
Yeah.
So cute. Hi, Prince, I love you. He's like, I know, everybody does.
Now, there's a lot of knowledgeable people on this call, but I didn't know this before I started working here that goats don't have top teeth, except in the very, very back.
They don't?
Oh,
I did
really?
not know that either.
They have a hard palate at the top. They don't, over evolution, they lost their top teeth. All they have to do is pull hay, and their bottom teeth and their palate do that. And then they use the back teeth, which apparently are very sharp. And I try to stay away from them to
Yes, you
actually
should.
chew the cud. And they're like cows, they regurgitate. And you can hear after they have a big dose of hay, you can hear them all burping.
That's funny. The top teeth, except in cats, are used for biting into things. In cats, they're used for grooming.
Yeah,
The-
I was
the
told
front
cats
little
don't use
teeth.
their teeth very much.
No, they do. So the
Wow.
front little teeth in cats, the tiny teeth, front
Yeah.
and top and bottom, they're used for grooming. And the cats tear into meat, so they use their incisives, the 4 long corner teeth.
Mhm.
But I guess these goats, they don't like bite into carrots or things. So the front teeth are used for biting into an apple, I guess they don't do that.
Oh yeah, Nancy, we'll talk for hours about how animals work. So you have no idea. Yeah, like I said, when I said new obsession, I wasn't kidding. We're like all very interested in the animal behavior. All right, I think I pretty much sketched out the shapes. I'm going to give you guys a close-up of the face so you can kind of find out where things are. But I'm going to show you and listen, take your time. This is not a rush. This is not a rush at all. But one of the things I did want to show you, and I've got another picture of this goat so we can like get some things. This is 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. So you can see where everything is. There we are. Okay, I'm going to send you like a close-up of the face with the marks. What the? Here, let me try that again. So one of the things I really want to make is go back once you're starting to work your inside shapes of your face, go back and refine your halfway points, your quarter points. They're going to help you. So you'll see that your eyes are located at the 1/4 point, right? Right here. And your top of your nose is at the halfway point. The bottom of your nose is at the 3/4 point. The mouth is in this last section. So go ahead and I send a close up so you can see it. Go and refine those. I mean, this is the thing with visual measurements. Visual spatial. That's why right brain is called visual spatial. It's kind of trying to link you in with how things how much space things actually take up versus how much space we think they take up. So as we have already learned intellectually, and here I'm going to do this again because I'm sorry, you guys, just forgive me for this, but it's like the easiest way to describe it, right? So we've already learned that your left brain is instantly going to record as soon as it sees it, that like the hand is smaller than the head. So if the hand is here or back here, that's going to be confusing to your left brain because your left brain already has a concept, right? A verbal concept. So visual spatial is all about where are things in relation to other things? And that changes depending on how close or far away things are. When I'm drawing something, I look at whatever it is I'm drawing, I look and see what is the thing that's the closest to me, and I box it out almost, even if it's part of, it's connected to other things, right? In this case, the head is really the closest, and within the head, the nose and the mouth are the closest. Right? So you start to, I sort of tell myself, these are the things that are bigger than I think they should be. My visual spatial has to adjust to this, right? It has to adjust to that concept. And that's confusing because it changes all the time. And it doesn't really care whether everything's part of the same object or whether we're talking about separate subjects. So it's almost like we're taking things apart and putting them back together in an entirely different way, in a way that privileges shape and value and not what a thing is, and not what it's connected to. So that's the intellectual blah that happens, the explosion that happens in your brain as you're trying to understand this. So don't worry, it takes a while to develop it. It's like a muscle, this visual spatial sense. And of course, once I get here, I can re-employ my eraser. Re-employ. It's like my eraser is Marx's army of the unemployed, right? Where standing ready when it's needed. Here we go. I can start erasing, right, my lightest areas. And I can also take my pen and darken a little bit my darker areas. And where I want to make sure that my darks really show up next to my lights. And observe here that I can kind of take my, I can take my fingers to sort of blend the edges where light meets dark to convey like a little bit of a feeling of fur. Mostly the charcoal is going to take care of that for you. Mostly the charcoal is going to create this kind of bumpy, not full, right, thing. See how I'm starting to use my light and my dark? See how the very nature of charcoal, so those of you who are using pencil might be feeling a little jealous right now of those of us using charcoal, which I totally get, because the charcoal creates the texture just with one stroke. You can start finding your lighter and your darker areas. Notice for the most part, I'm getting rid of these strong lines, these strong contour lines I added in so that I could see my outer shapes. This is why I actually prefer using the eraser, but it's harder for you guys to see, and I want you to be able to see the lines. So I had you put them in, but then I'm going to mostly get rid of them. So that's the kind of beginning of that. Notice I didn't go straight to the face. Notice I went to the biggest pieces that I was pretty sure I could see the edges and get them. When I'm in a sort of complicated, and I think most artists, when we're in a complicated, right, scenario where there's a lot of things, I go for the easiest, biggest shapes first, right? I go for the stuff I can really see. That makes it easier for me. And then once I've kind of lined that up, I'll see, it'll be easier for me to see the smaller shapes. But I'm working the body shapes first because they're easier to see. There's less complicated. I can see. This is kind of dark on the inside and maybe on the outside. Remember also our discussions of value, right? Value is the lightness or darkness of any color. So if this is a 1 and this is a 5, 2, 3, and 4 are kind of generally, oops, 2, 3, and 4 are kind of generally slightly darker. We call these the strong contrast values, 1 and 5. These are called midtones, very specifically because they're middle tones. They're in between light and dark. I like to get my lights and darks in first because I think those are the easiest. Like here around the ear, there's a dark shadow, and then it's light around the edge because I can really see those. Those are real easy to see. I go to my midtones later because those are a little bit trickier. I go to my smaller shapes later because those are trickier. Be real careful not to make your eyes too big here. It's going to be real tempting. Observe that these two triangles of shape are kind of outside the edge of the nose, right? So the nose is kind of light here. I'm not expecting y'all to keep this. I'm just talking as I'm working, things I'm noticing. Right, but this is the harder stuff. So I don't start with this. I start. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better. I think the thing that's the hardest to wrap your mind around is that while you're working on one shape, you also have to keep in mind the shapes that are next to you, right? Next to that shape, right? I have to keep, while I'm sketching in this dark triangle, I also have to keep in mind this shape next to it. It can be exhausting, like really tiring. I have to keep, while I'm sketching in this eye, I have to see what's going on above the eye, right? So, oh, he's just a handsome little devil.
How is it for you, Leah, when everybody's so absorbed that they're just quiet?
What's that?
Are you used to it when everybody's just so quiet and you're like, you know, talking away?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is me just talking about process as I'm going. I figure for most people it's white noise, but like all these questions come up, so I'm saying them as I hear them. Yeah, it's normal. This is a really normal, yes, this is a very normal like class. I'm just trying to, I'm almost speaking, I'm almost not, Nancy, I'm trying to say what I'm doing, but I'm almost not even aware that of what I'm saying. I'm not planning it too much. If I think about it too much, then I can't talk and demo at the same time. But my hope is that it's like people are like working on something at the same time that I am. And they might be. I had a teacher once who would require us to watch her demos, and she would talk like this, and then we would work, and then people would work. But we don't really, that was an in-person thing, and I don't think we really had that kind of time. So. All right. And anyway, event, as you guys are coming along.
I guess we would need 3 hours if we were going to do it.
I think you need 3 hours, and I don't think people have, I think it's harder to, I do that on Sundays, but I think it's harder to, yeah, for us to start, start and stop. I also know people really want to get going, right? Like you're here in class and you want to work. I don't want to hijack that process for you. So yeah. It's also for people who like to watch the video. Anyway, also, I never do these lessons before. I always try to keep the subjects new for me as well as you, so that so that it's not looking, it's very easy for a teacher to make things look too easy. Right? Because you practice it and then you know, and then you make it look easy, and then the student feels bad if they, you know, they don't have it like exactly the way you do. So I like to like kind of explore the problem areas along with you, which means I gotta vocalize it when I'm speaking, when I see it, or I won't remember it. I correct a lot as I'm drawing. And I want you all to see that. Anyway, still just blah, blah, blang. I think this is a good moment for me to stop demoing, take a picture and send it across, and I'll look at what you're doing. Okay, let's see. 1, 2. Yeah, Francesca, get into the, I feel like, let's see. Oh, you've made your goat to a slight bit too short. Bring the face down and square it off a little bit. So if you're going to work on the face, I would get these light areas in, but my suggestion to you is to just shape the outside. Bring your ears down a little bit because they're a little short. They're okay. And get these light parts in before you start getting into real face details, because you'll make yourself crazy on that face.
What are you doing, Sunny?
What are you doing? Oh, you have that. Okay. Here's my guy. Prince. Yeah, don't get too caught up in these dark lines right now because you'll lose all the lightness of Prince's face. It's time to yank out that eraser.
I'm going to start painting.
Yeah, I think it looks in good
Should I send
shape.
you my drawing first?
Can I take a look just to see?
Yes,
It
please.
looked good.
Do you need
but
the photos again? Do you need a photo next to it again?
Nope,
Okay.
just the drawing would be great.
Okay.
And I'm gonna double check a couple things, but
Thank
it looked
you.
pretty good to me. Right, measure twice, cut once, paint once.
Mhm. Oh, I think I cut off top of the head. So I can't really see what
Oh,
I'm
no,
doing.
I can see it. I can see
Okay.
it. Don't worry. I got it. All right, let's see.
We don't want a rabbit here.
One.
Go away. Mr. Rabbit, don't walk on my things. Go away.
So Sandra, the only thing I really see
Mm-hmm.
that you need to be a little careful of is make sure his nose comes up high enough and is a little bit wider. So I'm going to show you this here where you can see really clearly that this side comes out a little bit longer. This side is a little bit shorter. See,
Okay.
you have them equal. This side of the nose needs to extend out just a little bit longer.
Yep,
And-
you're right. Thank you.
Yep. So there's a tendency to want to make things equal, but they're not because this goat's head
Yeah.
is turned. Oh,
And
and
I had
I
to-
have that happening too here. So let me,
I
I'm gonna
had
fix
to
that as well.
move it. I had to move the center. I had the you know, the little slit below
Yeah,
the
yeah,
nose.
that little slit right
I
there.
had
I had
that
to
in
do
the
the same
wrong
thing, if
place.
that makes you feel better. So it's just it's a little bit of an extension up. And the mouth is doing the same thing. Right? The mouth is doing the same thing. It's a little bit wider here and a little bit narrower and quirked up there.
Yours looks really good.
I just fixed it. Ah,
No, I meant for the whole
Julia, he's
goat.
coming. He's looking great. Oh, that's fantastic. I like how you, so let's get some work into, I'm just checking here. This all looks good. I feel like, the only thing I feel like, Julia, is that his face here in the front, right, should be a little bit wider than, like, if you look here and you see a measurement, it's like, if I were to draw a line across here. Oh, shoot, I don't want to do this. I don't want to wreck this one. I'll do it over here to really show you. And this is the concept that I was discussing. That's okay. So from here, right, if I go from here to here, here's the edge of the face and the nose. I'm going to do a little box here. This really takes up half the distance from the edge of the mouth to the edge of the ear. You see that? So it just it extends out a little bit wider. And same here, right? The nose kind of extends out a little wider. And that's because this whole front section is closer than everything else. So we convey that, let's see.
Which, I'm sorry, I'm being really thick, but what do you want me to extend?
I want you to, his mouth is a little bit thin.
Yeah.
His mouth is a little bit small and his nose is a little bit small. They need to kind of come out on the right a little bit.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I'm needing to actually bring mine back a little bit. Really, this whole section is almost like its own piece. It's bigger than you think it should be.
Can you hear the leaf blower next door?
No, we never can.
Oh, good. Otherwise, I'd go on mute.
Notice that as I'm correcting you guys, I'm adjusting my own. So it's not like I'm also making little adjustments to my own. So that's part of this is process.
Okay, here we go.
Let's see. Also, Julia, take a look at the little bit. I had to struggle with this too a bit. These white shapes above the eye are also important.
Yeah.
They kind of extend the eye a little bit. So it involves an eraser, a little bit of addition to the head, right? I'm just nitpicking, right?
No, those are tricky.
They're tricky. So those are the things. You might even take a pencil eraser or your electric eraser if you have one,
Okay.
and
That's
kind
good.
of work in those areas. These are important in terms of shaping this goat's head properly and making him look thick enough. I'm still working mine, as you can see. So cute. All right, Marcy, looking good.
Thank you.
Keep on going. So get your darks in. I think you really
yeah.
need darks. So push your darks and your lights,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
contrast, and I think you're gonna feel, so this shapes these shapes.
Got it.
I like, you really got his stance, Julia, his little pot belly stance. Very nice. If you go fast, I can give you another one. We have half an hour. 35 minutes. Let's see. Oh, Nancy's looking great. Yep.
I feel like I like him okay. I'm satisfied, but I feel like his face is not exactly facing the right direction.
Well, you put his face facing forward,
Yeah.
right? With this nose in the middle. So look at this shape more closely. Scoot it over a little bit this way and observe. Here, I'm going to show you even more. Look at how.
Oh, yeah. The nose is all the way to the right side of the face.
Right. So there's box 1 for the nose. Here's box 2. So look at the different sizes of the boxes. So you can easily move him.
Yeah.
Right. And then
There
that's
goes
the
his nose.
same with the mouth. Here, I'm going to send these
Yeah,
over so you guys can
I wasn't satisfied with his face.
It's because you made him, that's your left brain, right? You made him
Right.
looking right at you, even though he is turned. That's going to help you figure out other things too. Like, look at all of the white that's kind of up here above the eyes. You'll have more room for that once you scoot his nose a little bit this way. You'll see that this shape, right? These aren't exactly the same. This is a triangle, right? Where this is an angle and this is more straight up, this white space in between these two triangles.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta correct that too. Here, see? So like, I'll do that as well. I'm like, oh, yep, this needs to be more at an angle. These are small things, but they're huge. Yeah, I may have reached the limit of what I can do with my charcoal pencil, and I might need a pencil eraser, just a regular one, or I'm using my electric eraser. That really is great. I can kind of get these whites. What's nice about charcoal is it's not so solid like pencil, so you're not so stressed out about erasing the lines, I think. It's less.
The sensation is also much more pleasing.
It's like more like painting. So if you're somebody
Just the way
who,
that it glides on paper.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I like it too. But not everybody does. But like if you do, it's because, right? You're more you're more like a painter thinker than you are a drawing thinker. Both are totally valid. But you might find that you make things make more sense to you as shapes, blocks of light and dark shapes. That means you're more painterly. If contour lines make more sense to you, like shapes of these things, then you're more drawerly. So, oh, wow, that looks good.
Drawerly. That's a
Draw early. I just made that word up. You're more of a drawer, a pencil drawer. You're more a drawing kind of person than a painting kind of person. That doesn't mean you can't train both. I am definitely not a drawing type of person. I'm more of a painting person. So I had to teach myself how to draw. And charcoal was instrumental for me in doing that. I blame the right brain, Diana. I'm making up words now.
It's okay. I like that. I like that.
Making up words, yes. Yeah, this teacher I had who was at the Art Students League of New York, if she was working in this way, she wanted complete silence. Like if you said anything, if you asked any questions at all, it completely derailed her. So she could tell us what she was doing and she could answer questions afterwards and think about it, but she couldn't you could not interrupt her process with a question. It just messed her up. It was too left brain, and she could describe the right brain and she could do the right brain, but she could not be interrupted by questions. So we'd watch her for 25 minutes, then we'd try to do something, and then she'd come around and watch us. We'd write all our questions down so that like when we had the opportunity to ask them, we could ask them. She was great. Sometimes I remember very vividly once, she was laying down colors and she described a color, alizarin crimson. She was like, okay, I'm laying this alizarin crimson down because it's warm. And then later she said, I'm laying this alizarin crimson down because it's cool. So during the break, I said, you described it as both. And she was like, I did? Oh yeah, I did. Oh, it is both. like you don't even but if I tried to interrupt her in the middle of that, it would have ruined the whole thing. So it's an interesting, that sort of right-left brain dynamic. It's a fragile balance.
Yeah, it's funny because you're actually the first teacher I ever have that has demonstrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did the others do, Diana?
They told him what to do.
Yep.
They told him.
Oh,
Yeah, what did the others do?
they would describe what you were going to do and why you were doing it.
That's not very useful.
It was very useful. I was very useful that too. So, but I never had a teacher that demonstrated.
I guess you need to not be insecure if you're going to demonstrate.
I see benefits to that and I see detractions to that.
Yeah.
I see that but you went to art school, Diana, right? So everybody's presuming that you've already had a certain amount of training, which is the kind of stuff that I'm doing. Right? So they're assuming at some point somebody explained it to you. The truth is though, that most people don't get that kind of training. They should, unless they, very specifically signed up for atelier training or whatever, you don't really get that kind of training. So, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I guess it was
They're presuming,
Yeah, maybe that's it.
They're presuming,
But you need to start somewhere. So where would you get the training?
Well, the
Presumably.
point is, they often that training isn't available. So people are just kind of guessing, right? Some people have kind of partially trained themselves.
Yeah, I guess that's what I had done before I went to art school.
Yeah, but you didn't really have teachers show you how to do that, but it's too bad. I'm hearing a lot from Emma right now, who I trained, who is in art school right now.
Yeah.
And it's appalling what's happening in her school. It's appalling.
Really?
It's kind of, I find it ridiculous. They're not teaching her anything. They're not teaching, and not only are they not teaching her anything, she came to me the other day and said, I feel weird because all my other fellow students have a style, which is a repeated it's like, how kids will doodle something over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's what they call style now. And so all the other kids I said, well, do they know how to layer paint? She's like, no. I'm like, do they know how to actually draw something? She's like, no. Are they telling you that in school? She's like, no. So they're taking these kids who have done nothing but obsessively draw in one
Something
way,
in
doing one
particular.
thing. And they're saying, you're great artist, right? Yeah, you know what you're doing. And so somebody like Emma, who's actually properly, what I would consider properly formally trained, like they have nothing for her. They can't show her anything. She already knows more than they are even teaching. And it's ridiculous.
That's super depressing for her.
What's that?
That's super depressing for her.
It's sad, right? I told her she needs to go to Italy and sign up for an atelier course. I told her there's some online courses she can take. She needs to sign up with, you can get good art instruction, but she's not going to find it at her school. I mean, the thing is, her school's free. She got a scholarship, so getting an BFA in art is not the worst thing, but they're certainly not teaching her anything. And she was like, I'm just really depressed. I said, go to learn a language, go to France, learn French and German, and go to France and Germany. They don't even send people to France at her school. You can't even go to France like during your, year abroad, second semester abroad. So yeah, she's in Montana. What can I say? But that's kind of what's happening. So Diana, on the one hand, it kind of helps, but on the other hand, there are gaps in people's knowledge that I wish more people had. I think it's helpful to have this training. And I'm not the only one who teaches it.
Criticizing.
Yeah. No, I know you're not. And I'm not saying that you are.
But I found it useful because our teachers were not flattering. They were like hawks on every mistake you made.
So that's maybe how they chose to teach it.
Yeah.
Right. Did that work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked for you. So they chose to teach it on the outer end. That's a hard way to go, though. It's hard. And I think
you can't be delicate. You can't be delicate for that kind of art teaching.
Yeah, right.
But you learn from it.
You learn. It is absolutely a way.
Well, you either learn or you give up.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Emma wishes she had that. Diana, I think she wishes she had it.
Is Emma your daughter or?
No, Emma's my student teacher. She teaches my she teaches my what do you call it? My Procreate class on Sundays.
But Leah trained her since she was a child.
I've trained her since she was 12. Now she's 20. So I talked to her quite a lot about these processes, right? And she's talking to me about she wants to be a professional artist. She really should be. She's very good and disciplined, and she has all those things. But she's like really disappointed by the experience she's having in quote unquote art school. It's sad for her. So that's the information I have, but that's a state school, right? It's in Montana. Enough said right there. She's learning a lot in her art history class,
I think.
You'll see Emma if you
Seems
take
like in Italy, when you have to learn a language, and you go to university and they teach you literature, and they don't teach you like talking and understanding a foreign language.
So is that what you did, Francesca?
No.
Because they assume you already done it if you're going to sign up for literature, I guess.
Yeah, but no, I learned English in high school, and then I didn't learn. I went to a university to learn economics. But but I find it strange that they focus on literature, but they don't focus on you like getting the right pronunciation, and the ability to understand.
Right. Well,
this is the first, and you can do it by like having private courses with the mother tongue teacher, basically. Or you can people normally travels and spend like some months abroad.
Right. Right. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and then you learn.
That's how you do it. Exactly.
But whereas actually American University is not like that, because I learned Spanish at American University in New York.
Oh, Nancy,
1 year.
that's coming along great.
And,
yes.
And you took Italian as well, and we had actually proper language classes, but then you could do literature as well. Literature requires a high level already of understanding.
Right. Right. Nancy, this is looking great. So my only suggestion is to really go in there heavy with your eraser and push these lights out. Right? Get the contrast. You can also go in with your pen, your charcoal pencil on the, your charcoal piece on the side and darken, right?
Okay.
Like that. But that's looking great. I think you adjusted his face quite well. I think Prince would say, my friend Nancy knows me. I feel seen by Nancy. I feel seen by everybody here. I actually think everybody's doing a great job with this one. Prince is going to feel really seen. Nancy, feel free. I should ask, actually, is everybody okay if Nancy like showed these to?
Oh,
Goats of
yeah.
Oh,
Anarchy?
yeah.
Yeah,
I would
that'd
love
be
to
really
do that.
fun. And I
Even
might
show
even
him
do
to
a
him.
post, and I'll do a post on the Roaming Studio Instagram, and I will tag Goats of Anarchy.
Oh,
Oops, did we
awesome.
lose somebody? Who do we lose? Oh, we lost Diana. Where is she? Oh, she'll come back. How was that for you, Nancy, doing those corrections? Because I feel like you got it.
Oh, I turned my paper upside down for one thing.
Oh, excellent.
And,
Do
and
you
then
guys
I
want me to-
actually, what?
That's a great idea. I'm going to do that here too. Yeah, and then you actually.
Oh, and then I saw how close the nose, something's not quite, I'm still not quite happy with his face. I gotta do some adjustments, but I got the nose and the mouth angled better, I think.
Yeah. What's really happening, can you see this? That this is the one side of this is the halfway point of
Yeah.
the mouth and the nose. And really, because this part of his face is turned away from you, it's smaller and it's more angled and turned up. This side, it looks like this here. I'll show you what's happening. This is what's happening. If you look at my face and you see, right, this pencil,
Yep.
it's absolutely dividing me in half. When I turn, I haven't moved my pencil. I've just turned my head.
Right.
See how my half, right, becomes scrunched up. It's funny, you can't see less of it. It just literally becomes smaller.
Yep. Yep. That's helpful. Thank you.
Right? That's what's happening. Also, everything on this side, if you want to look really close, is turned up.
Right.
It's actually angled up. That is a mind blower. That'll blow your mind up right there. So don't be surprised if that doesn't go in right away. The closest thing, hey Diana, we lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I'm such an amateur. I hadn't put on the power cord into my computer. So.
That's because you're in right.
black.
That's because you're in right brain, Diana. Power cords are for the left brain. Nancy, the only thing I'll show you that can kind of just like show that is this, right? You remember how you learned to draw the road?
Yes.
Right? We know the road is not physically rising up, right? We also know that the road here is not that the road here is not smaller than here, but it looks that way because we're translating 3 dimensions to 2. So that's when things start. That's the principle of perspective, and that's the thing we wrestle with. The same thing is happening with the cube, right? Intellectually, we know with this cube that like these sides are equal. We also know there's 3 sides we can't see. But they don't look equal because the sides that are moving away from us are getting smaller. It has to do with our cone vision. So that's also true of anything that's 3-dimensional that's on a flat surface. So I don't expect, listen, it's a bare perspective, but that's the general. Oh, Julia, yeah. Oh, Francesca, that's great.
Thank you. But it's strange because this time it was much easier than the turtle.
Then the turtle, yes. Yes.
The turtles
The turtle seems so easy on the paper, and it turned out to be so complicated. And it was the other way around with the goat.
Well, you know, it's because this goat has great contrast. It has great areas of light and dark. So my suggestion, have you worked with it upside down at all?
No.
Flip your drawing upside down and do some last minute corrections. You're going to see that, for example, your mouth should be smaller on that side.
Okay.
Right? There's a couple, I mean, he looks fantastic, but really it's the contrast that makes it easier to shape things. The turtle had less value differentiation. It was too many middle tones and not enough darks and lights.
Okay.
That's what makes this good.
Can I ask you an equipment question?
Yeah.
I bought the electric eraser. I find it very difficult to use.
Isn't it funny? Well, yeah, it gets a little shaky. It's like, it's actually a little intense. So
it moves my paper and.
Yeah, I would tape your paper down.
Oh, okay.
Do you see, I have my paper actually taped down.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm kind of leaning on it as yeah, it's a little odd to get used to.
I have to say, I mean, using pencil, this is my favorite tool. Look, and that eraser at the end.
Wait, where are you? Where are you? Hold on. Do that again. I'm gonna add you. Hold it up.
See, it's got an eraser at the end, and
with
this
a little
is
point.
absolutely fantastic. I mean, and you have many erasers that to replace it with, and I find it's thin like the electric, but it's not electric, and it's just so easy to kind of flip when you're drawing. I find that much easier than the electric.
Sandra, could you send a picture of it?
Yeah,
and I'll send you. It's still got the tag on. I got it on Amazon. It was cheap, and I absolutely love it. I don't draw with anything else. You can choose. You can choose what lead you put in. I found I've got something like HB or 2B because if it gets too greasy, it's difficult. I'll send you this, but I'll probably it's probably easier to send you the Amazon thing as well.
Yeah, welcome to the world of, once you stop being obsessed with goats, and then it's a welcome to the world of all the materials you can get.
But it's cheap, you know. It's
yeah, and it's great. I'm just laughing because every time I'm like, okay, you need this.
I know.
Now you need this. Now you need this. Now you need this. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, Sandra's working in watercolor, so she really needs that. She really needs that precision, right? The pencil drawing needs to be very precise, not messy like the charcoal.
Yeah, I'm actually much easier sending you the Amazon link.
Cool, thank you. Yet another thing to buy.
I love that thing. I have many mechanical pencils, but this one, and I've got real pencils as well, but just having that eraser, which, you know, has thin bits at the end, it just really makes life easy.
Welcome to the next obsession.
Leah, can I just show you the goat like that for now?
Yeah, hold up.
So this is where I'm at.
Oh, he's coming along nicely. Yeah, yeah.
He's lovely.
I'm gonna continue.
I love him. You guys are doing great. Everybody's doing really great. And I can tell by how quiet most people are, is that like you're really, I mean, although we're asking steady questions, is that you're working, concentrating. My sense is you wouldn't if you were stuck, right? Nobody here is stuck, you're working. Drawing is not about, it's kind of requires a level of focus that's akin to working at a training session in a gym, right? Working with a physical trainer at a gym. It's not easy. It requires focus or you'll hurt yourself. It requires focus or you'll hurt well, in a gym, you'll hurt yourself. In a drawing, you'll miss sort of key elements of the drawing. So it's not like easy or relaxing, but what I will say is as you hone this skill, you will get better at seeing it. This kind of intense concentration is probably the closest you're going to get to meditating in a day. Think of my voice as the waves.
Like meditation.
Yeah,
me
think of
too.
my voice as like the waves crashing. Telling you things. Wait, like how is it? Welcome to the world of drawing. Where you will immerse yourself. Please make sure that you work with your goat upside down. Unfortunately, I don't have the voice for it. I can't do it.
Otherwise, we will feel fell asleep. I think.
Right.
Welcome.
Well, this is the moment for us to bring up again Julia's ring. Julia, are you wearing it today?
I wear it every day.
Here, hold on, let me see it. So this is Julia's gadget ring. And
Wow.
it measures,
Let's see.
it takes
again.
all her, show it again.
I don't know if you can see the inside of it, but it's got little nodes in it and it measures your heart rate and things like that. And
Which finger do you wear it on?
I wear it on this finger, but when you buy it, they send you a set of 10 sizes, so you can choose the one that you want and you can figure out which fingers it will fit on. Because I don't know about you, but my fingers swell up and down. So
Right.
I've got one and I can transfer it between about 3 different fingers if I need to. So.
And what does it always tell you by the end of drawing?
It tells me I'm resting when I'm doing this every time. My heart rate goes right down and my brain waves change. And
I've looked into those rings, but they're so darn expensive.
Really? How much are they?
$300.
Yeah.
Really? Is
Yeah.
that what yours cost you, Julia?
Yeah, it was something
but
like that.
She is on it.
Yeah, it was a treat to myself. I figured I saved so much money in lockdown by not doing anything.
Right. But
I did nothing in lockdown.
I think that's fascinating. As Gina Chua, who was the former executive editor of Reuters, said in our last video for our last mental health week, she said, look, you think that drawing, you think that meditation is something where you empty your mind. That's not meditation. Meditation, because it's almost impossible to empty your mind. I mean, it is meditation, but it's hard work. Drawing, if you fill your mind with a task that is so consuming that you have to spend all your time thinking about it, that will, as Julia's ring proves, bring your basal heart, bring your heart rate down, bring everything down. Even if it's hard work, it'll still steady you and focus you and quiet your mind, because you're only focusing on one thing. You don't really have time to scroll through, your Facebook feed or whatever it is that you're doing. You just have to focus on the thing at hand. Oh boy, I'm just noticing, by the way, my mouth of my goatee needs to get straighter. I can really see that. Or mouth. And it's curved up like that. There we go. And that's really true. It's the closest you'll come. So it's kind of like you get a 2-for-1. If you can live with the stress of not knowing how to do something and kind of pushing yourself, a little frustration, right? Just like a gym workout. It's like a workout for your right brain. Also, probably good at staving off things like dementia. Because you're learning a new way of using your brain, which means that your entire brain, all your brain synapses are firing. there's a lot of things that make doing this, going through the pain of doing this, worth it. And at the end of your class, you'll be in rest state, or at least you'll feel like you want to go into rest state. We've got about 5 minutes left. I'd love for, I'm going to remove, actually Les, I'm going to remove the spotlight. This podcast comes to you. Go ahead and put everything in speaker view. And I want you to just hold your goat up.
But we're
wherever
not
you're-
finished yet.
So Sandra, I am going to need to pop off, but oh, hey, Diana, now it's coming. I see you. Hold them up, guys. Oh,
They're adorable. Oh.
Wow.
All right. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to transfer hosting over to Sandra. If you can hang around for a little
Diana.
while, Sandra or Diana. Can you guys hang around for a little while? And you
Sure, I
stay
can
and
hang
work.
around.
I have a meeting at 10, but you guys stay and work as long as you want.
Yeah,
Diana,
no,
can you
I have electricity, so yes.
Yes. All right.
Great.
Great. All right. So I'm going to make you the host. You can keep sending stuff over to me. Yes. Changing the host. I'm going to stop the recording.